Hello, folks. Kevin Polk here there he is.
Aha. Today's podcast topic is The Dude Meets the Matrix.
Yeah, that's Phil talking.
And I'm Phil Tenalia.
Yeah,
Not the dude.
we're having fun.
Having fun.
We're going to do The Dude Meets the Matrix today on the Art of Being with the Act Matrix podcast.
And the subtitle is How the Matrix Ties the Room Together, for those of you who are out there that are Lebowski fans.
Well, you're Lebowski fans out there. And we've really realized that some folks aren't Lebowski fans, but we also realize there's a bunch of people that are Lebowski fans and the big Lebowski fans. And so we are, both Phil and I are big fans, been watching it forever. And I mean, we're the kind of people that have watched a movie 10 times.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Easy.
And my T-shirt wore out, but I used to have a Lebowski. I got to get me another one. Phil, if you're on if you bop over to YouTube and see this podcast, you'll see he has a Lebowski 16. This aggression will not stand, man.
Yeah, this came out during the 2016 elections.
And
I couldn't decide who to vote for, so I decided to wear this Lebowski shirt around. Got a lot of attention.
And during that same time, I got a refrigerator magnet from my son with the same message. This aggression will not stand, man. And so we're going to do a little bit of the Matrix and the Big Lebowski. And so as we got started, we were discussing some of the books that have come out.
Yeah.
That are related to this topic. So I'll let Phil tell you about some of the books, or at least one of them.
Yeah. So a really interesting book that those of you may or may not be aware of, it's called The Dude and the Zen Master. And I forget the author. Do you have the author title there, Kevin?
I have it.
I think it's the two of them that actually wrote the book together. Am I right?
Yeah, it says Jeff Bridges and Bernie Glassman.
Yeah, so Jeff Bridges is the dude. He is the character that plays Lebowski, Jeff Lebowski. And Bernie Glassman is a former engineer turned Zen master / priest who runs Zen peacekeepers in New York City. He works with homeless people and does a lot of cool work. And it turns out that Jeff and Bernie were friends. So they got together long after Lebowski, the Big Lebowski was made, and they had a conversation about, the Lebowski and Zen and what's going on in the world. And it's a very interesting read. It's a conversation, back and forth kind of conversation that I would highly recommend that you check out if you're a Lebowski fan, if you haven't.
And I'm going to check it out. I have not read that.
Yeah.
And I rewatched Lebowski just a couple of months ago, The Big Lebowski.
Yep.
So something reminded me of it, and I own the movie, so I fired it up and watched it again.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the movie was that when it came out, it was basically considered a flop. Like it didn't make much money at all.
Oh, no. It didn't last long in the theaters.
Well, it went on to become a cult classic.
And it's a Coen Brothers film.
Right.
And they have since won Academy Awards, but they're not for the Lebowski. But what the Big Lebowski did for them, that's their cult classic movie.
Yeah.
And they literally have Lebowski ends, and where Jeff Bridges or John Goodman, and others go show up at them and do speaking engagements and all kinds of stuff. Well, we're going to talk about it in terms of the Act Matrix.
Right.
So we're going to matricize the dude.
Yep.
Let's just call it the dude. And so, Phil, where do we start?
Well, maybe we might want to, for those who have not been on the podcast before, maybe we ought to just quickly run through the Act Matrix, which is our home base.
Probably a good idea.
We abide. And
I was just teaching that to the people for a couple of days. So,
all right. So I'll put my handy dandy cheat sheet up, and why don't you run us through the?
Okay.
Right?
Oh yeah. Now for anybody who doesn't see the video, obviously this is mostly a podcast. Phil has done a rendition of a sunglass big dude Lebowski up on at the top. And the big dude Lebowski is, of course, taking in his sensory experience.
He's experiencing the world.
Experiencing the world through his senses. And so at the top of the matrix is that. It's a vertical line. So at the bottom of the vertical line is your mind.
Yeah.
And so just imagine sensory information coming in. And if you, less than a second later, it ends up in your mind. Think of it that way, way down there at the bottom. There is a horizontal line that bisects that vertical line, making, two nice cross lines. And so over to the right is toward stuff. Think of moving toward who's important to you. That's the easiest way to think of that. And then on the left-hand side, there's a way. And just think of moving away from something that has frightened you or from fear. So you avoid or run away or something. So easiest way to think about that away side over there. And that's the matrix. Quick run through the quadrants. We threw some stuff in the quadrants very many years ago. And so in the lower right, there's who's important to you. In the lower left, that's the yucky stuff, fear, anger, frustration, that kind of stuff. Upper left, that's the stuff that you do to move away from the yucky stuff. And upper right, that's the stuff you do to move toward who's important to you and what's important to you. And so you can list all that stuff off. So we're going to talk about the dude.
Oh, yeah.
In terms of mental experiencing, sensory experiencing toward away in the four quadrants.
Yeah, yeah. And, I'm thinking about this, Kevin, like you and I have talked a lot about the hero's journey. So you could think about this as Lebowski is the hero of the story.
Yes.
The unwilling hero of the story. He doesn't even want to go on a quest, and yet he finds himself going on a quest.
Yeah, most definitely. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, and just will say, when you think of the dude, his name is Lebowski, right. But he wants to be called the dude. Dude. And so he's, well, come on, let's face it, he's a pot smoking,
not working kind of guy,
or at least working as little as
working minimally in his bathrobe most of the day.
Yeah, his. By the way, I do know the story on that. Jeff Bridges brought his own clothes.
Oh yeah, right. And
wore his own clothes, which was a bathrobe, some boxer shorts and
jelly shoes.
Yeah, jelly shoes, and some old T-shirts and stuff, which were literally all his own clothes. And then his hair is long, and he wears sunglasses all the time. And well, except when they get taken off, and then you can see his squinty, pot-smoked eye. So this is Jeff Bridges as Lebowski, not the Big Lebowski, but the dude Lebowski. The dude. And so he's the lower right-hand part of the Matrix. The dude's down there, and he gets sent on. So therefore, somebody like that, they don't want to go on a hero's quest.
He just wants to hang out.
He wants to hang, right? Period.
He's not looking for no adventures. He's just hanging out in his bungalow place in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles, yes, he's most definitely there. And so think the lower right-hand part of the quadrant. I mean, he's important to himself.
Yeah.
Which many people are. And it turns out he has something that is very important to him that gets taken from him. So we don't want to really mess up the movie.
No.
But we will mess it up a bit in telling you what important thing is taken from him that then throws him onto this hero's quest. And what is that thing?
Well, that would be his living room rug.
Yeah, right. We won't even tell you how it gets taken.
Yeah, we're not. That's a whole.
It is a hilarious set of circumstances, but it gets taken from him.
Right.
And so now apparently, of all things, my mind is going towards Zen and stuff. But let's just put it this way: the carpet's really important to the dude.
It is really important. So underneath who is important to you in the lower right is also what is important. So his carpet is important to him.
And obviously, from what transpires in the movie, the carpet is really, really important to him.
It's really important to the movie, as it turns out.
We're going to crack it up because you think of that. That's the plot of the movie. As a man gets his carpet taken for him and he goes on an adventure to get it back. You know, that's the one sentence synopsis of the movie. And but anyway, so the carpet. So we got the who's important, him, dude.
Yeah.
And we have the carpet. And then it turns out he's got a couple of friends.
Yes, he has some friends. Walter and Donnie are his friends.
Right. And we will let you know they're his bowling friends.
Right. And bowling is important too.
Bowling is religious.
Yeah.
Right. And if he gets dressed up, it's in his bowling shirt.
Yes.
Right. So his place of worship is the bowling alley.
Bowling alley.
Hope you go see this movie if you haven't. But so now we have the cast of who and what's important. He's important. I can't remember their names.
Walter is his friend.
Walter
is the Vietnam vet,
played by Goodman.
John Goodman. And then Donnie is Steve Buscemi.
Steve Buscemi, famous in many other things now, and Donnie, and those are his bowling buddies.
Yeah.
Amongst other buddies, so those are our characters. So bowling's important, carpet's important. People, it's Jeff, it's Donnie, and Walter.
Yes.
And so we have the elements in the lower right hand part of the matrix, and so now of course painful stuff has shown up in the lower left. Well, we've already told you it's loss of carpet. So, and none of us like that sense of loss. You know, that's yucky. So we've lost something.
It throws him off of his game.
Right. It takes him right out of his stoner game. Stoner. We didn't use the word stoner.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
But back in the 60s or 70s, we would have called him
someone referred to him as terminally relaxed. That's a good way to put it. He's terminally relaxed.
You know, and it's the kind of guy that we all would say, we would want to despise, but I think in part we all want to be like him.
Yeah.
You know,
he's a nice guy, and and the thing about him is in his relaxedness that people are drawn to him for all kinds of different reasons.
Right. Because of his Zen state, right? Sort of relaxed state on the nature of things. But he's suffered a loss.
He has.
And so the hero's quest is always about, you know, the hero is suffering somehow,
right?
And maybe some fellow characters of the hero are suffering somehow, and so we can definitely say loss, and that is a theme throughout the movie.
Yep.
Of him trying to fix up the painful loss of the carpet. And I'll let Phil tell you, and because, you know, that carpet really, what did it do?
Well, it really ties the room together.
A theme that gets repeated through the movie.
Yes.
But he's really, his heart is aching over the loss of this carpet. And so, of course, now they're going to do away moves.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to do away moves to try and do away with that loss. This is a good example, folks, that away moves are not behaviors that we do, but the core motivation for the move is loss. And so even if what about finding lost keys or lost money or lost something? Well, your key motivation is that painful loss, and it really drives you to keep looking.
It's going to move him from a state of dudism to being less than the dude at this point. He's
Oh
got
yeah. It takes him. It definitely takes him out of his dude game.
yeah, right.
Right.
As in would any of us. Well, you're chugging along, your life is going great. All of a sudden, boom, you lose something, and like, where is it? And now you got to go. You got to go get it. You got to go replace it or find it or whatever you got to do with it.
Yeah. Now friends do help out with this because sort of in some way he was trying to take the laissez-faire, so I lost my carpet, I can live with it kind of thing. But Walter steps in, and Walter's pretty righteous.
Yeah, he has rules. He lives by the rules. The
Very
rules is
strict
that
rules.
just sit back and let this happen. You got to do something.
And he righteously no.
Righteous is the word.
You can't let this go by.
No.
It's got to be fixed. And of course the dude goes along with him.
Yeah, and I think he does it now. When I'm thinking about it, he's really doing it because Walter is important to him.
And there you go. So now let's look at it from that point of view. Walter is very important to the dude.
Yeah.
And Walter wants to go get the carpet back.
Yeah.
So whereas the dude would have usually just smoked another smoked another joint, there we go, and kicked back and not worried about it. But Walter wants to go get the carpet. So if Walter wants to go get the carpet, he'll go along with him. So now it becomes a toward move. And in part, the quest has now become a toward move to join with Walter.
He's gathering fellow travelers.
And Donnie just comes along.
He's along for the ride. Donnie's just the guy who's in the back seat of the car going along.
He's just the tag along all the time. So played, and Buscemi plays a great.
Brilliant. He's brilliant.
Brilliant at the tag along. But anyway, so we got a little bit of, notice how we've looked at it in terms of a little bit toward and a little bit away.
Yeah.
It's the away is the motivation of the loss, which is still within Bridges, and Walter shares it somewhat because he's got righteous indignation that his friend would suffer such a loss.
Right.
And wants to help his friend. So a little bit of away, but also toward. So they go forth, well, to really make it simple, find the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
and how the Coen brothers come up with this, how he loses the carpet and finds the carpet.
Oh, yeah.
Folks, there's musical numbers in this show.
Yeah, about midway through, we have a musical.
It's a musical.
Lebowski experiences all kinds of things, including the musical.
and artsy people and all of this stuff, but it's all the quest.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to get into it.
Characters he meets along the way.
Many characters get put in there. Most of them, they're important for the quest.
Yeah.
But
and the other thing is some of those away moves work and some of them don't, because Walter has some very definite ideas about how to go about retrieving this stuff.
Yes.
Which basically is more like he's trying to get away from the effrontery of it, which actually ends up making things worse along the way.
Very much so, most definitely. So it's definitely a show of how these some away moves don't work. Some do, but nevertheless, we're on the away quest.
Yeah.
Are we on the quest for the carpet? Which includes both away and toward moves.
Yep.
Which is so if you're listening to this podcast in your own life, that's the way it is.
That's the way it works.
You do away moves, you do toward moves. Some of them work for what you want. Other ones don't work for what you want. Keep your eyes open and notice if they work. That's the gist of it. And this is in part about them noticing what works and what doesn't work.
Getting clear about that as they go along.
and comes on. And indeed, actually they replaced the carpet, remember?
Oh, yeah.
They replaced it with another carpet.
which is a whole other story.
This is a whole other story in the whole thing. And then does he get his carpet finally? I don't think he ever gets his original carpet back.
No.
Or maybe he does. Folks, watch the movie and see. But
Yeah.
you sort of lose track of the carpet.
Yeah.
Because of all the shenanigans going on. And
the carpet becomes secondary to the quest itself. He's on the journey.
The journey and the quest, and in part a quest to get back to being the dude.
To get back to his what they would call abiding.
Abiding.
Because that's his state that he wants to be in, the state of abiding.
Abiding, right. And so it very cleverly done.
Yeah.
That the quest is artfully switched from the carpet to a way of life,
right?
To get back to his way of life, and which is abiding, and so hopefully, and I don't know, maybe if you watched a movie, it's the first time you ever watched it. Hopefully, we haven't ruined it for you in that, but maybe it does.
Really.
I don't think so, and I think it helps, and you'll understand the end of the movie better. That. My goodness. My watch is telling me I need to exercise.
Okay. Well, there you go.
That's not dudish right there.
That would be taking you out of your dudism.
That would be taking me out of my dudism. So then we get, okay, so we've already told you that the quest becomes to get back to dudism. Or, and I'm sure the dude and the Zen master in that book, to get back to Zen. Would be my best guess is what they're getting at.
Yeah.
I haven't read the book, but Phil has. What are they getting at with the book, Phil?
Well, I think what they're talking about, and basically what Jeff and Bernie begin to discuss, is that you're really just getting at the end of it is what we talk about with the actor matrix and the art of being is like just getting back to being in the moment. And the dropping off of the outcome of like trying to get somewhere. And the dude is the epitome of like, he's not trying to get anywhere. He's trying to recover the carpet, but I think he's just trying to recover his equilibrium because he just wants to get back to just being the dude, being in the moment, just relaxing. And he's not a guy who really cares too much about what people think about him. And as a result, he's a very appealing character to all these different people for all kinds of different reasons. But he doesn't take anything on. Like he gets upset, right, justifiably so, and then he's past it. So he's got this thing going in him that works.
It's not like life doesn't upset him.
No, he gets upset.
He gets upset, but then he gets over it and lets go.
Yeah.
And lets go and gets back to.
And I think the essence of it is to not take yourself too seriously. I think that's really what it comes down to for him. He just does not take himself very seriously at all.
Yep. And so the point is, how in the world did these guys get these, being Phil and Kevin, get on this? Well, it's the dude is an art of being.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting at. And that in the end, the movie was about being. And of course, they put a name on it, being the dude, and forevermore, totally changing the meaning of dude. At least the Coen brothers did. And so anyway, it's so the quest goes from being a quest for carpet, which would be a material thing, and if you're into knowing a little bit about well, I don't know if it's Zen or not ever, but be careful about your want for material things.
Yeah.
Would be my, that can definitely get you off the path of being, of just being, of noticing the present moment, being in the present moment, and enjoying where you are, versus always trying to get the carpet. So in that way, if we were writing an essay on it, Phil and I might say that the carpet represents like retail-based capitalism, right?
Could be. Yeah.
Ooh,
Very
how did
well.
you like that,
I
Phil?
like that. Very nice.
That's worth a paragraph or two
Yeah.
in your term paper.
There you go.
But it could be, yeah, and we can definitely wrap that around. But it's definitely of the dude in a little bit of a way going materialistic, because why? Because it ties the room together.
Yeah.
Uh, oh wow, the quest isn't about the carpet. The quest is about finding the dude.
Yeah, and I think he gets off of his equilibrium. You know, the loss of the carpet throws him off. So then the rest of it is, how do I regain my equilibrium? How do I get back to that state of being
Yes,
that's important to him?
Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy, the dudism.
Dudisms.
And, you know, one of the other things I just thought about is he's also a verbal Aikido master, Kevin.
Oh, very much so.
Because there is a scene in the movie, without giving too much away, he's being harangued by somebody who's really like tearing him up, really kind of insulting him and saying all kinds of things to him. And the quote, what the dude does is he looks at me and says, "Well, that's just like your opinion, man."
Oh, I remember that scene well.
So he doesn't, and verbal Aikido is not taking on the words that are coming your way, not buying the story that someone's trying to put on you, or maybe even the story that's coming up from your mind, and just being able to say, well, you know, that's just an opinion. It's not reality. It's just an opinion.
Another way of saying it, well, those are the words that you have to say.
Exactly.
And now you've labeled them for what they are, words.
Yeah. Well, they were.
they were merely words that came in my direction. That's what we're getting at. And that's verbal Aikido, because now you don't have to buy the fight. You don't have to do the, you know,
Nope.
you don't have to
pick up your sword. None of that stuff.
None of that stuff. None of the witty comebacks or anything.
Yeah.
None of that stuff. None of that, what, rapier wit. That's what they call it. No need. It is, okay, that's your words, and go on about your business.
Yep.
So yes, very much so a verbal Aikido. And that would fit with his dude philosophy.
Yeah.
His being in the moment philosophy.
Right.
And not letting people take you out of it. But life circumstances have taken it out. Because, by the way, folks, the loss of the carpet is a total mistake. It's dude really was just minding his own business. He
was just being the dude.
He was just being the dude. That he lost a carpet is nothing to do with him whatsoever. So it's just one of those random events that comes and hits you on the head. And then for a while,
yep,
you're way off your game.
Disorientation.
Disoriented, and you're way off your game. And so the movie is about him regaining his game.
Yeah.
His back to being the dude, back to being. And part of the attraction for him is that being, that Zen-like state that he lives in. So as much as we want to laugh at the dude, as I said before, we want to be the dude.
Yes. Everybody wants to be the dude.
Everyone, right. If you really think about it, we all want to be the dude. So the Coens, I don't know who wrote it. Did the Coens write it too?
Oh yeah, they wrote it. Yep.
They wrote it. So, you know, they wrote somebody that we all want to be, at least a little bit of the time.
Yeah.
we want to be the
he's a man of his times. Is kind of the way it starts out. There's a little bit of narration. They talk about
a little bit of narration.
A man that comes along at the right time for his time. And that was him.
That was him. And so, well, he's the right time for this time as well, because it's always a good time for the art of being.
Yeah.
And to be in the moment, and to notice, and for the dude to notice what's coming in through his senses, noticing what's showing up inside of him, and just noticing, So we're in our world, it would be just noticing, but in the world of the Big Lebowski, here we go. It's abide. So the center of the matrix, for those on the podcast, Phil is now holding up the Big Lebowski up there at the top of the matrix, and the circle in the middle has abide. And in somewhere, if you live in any town with any kind of store, you must be able to find the Dude Abides.
Oh yeah.
Bumper stickers and refrigerator magnets and T-shirts and other stuff of the Dude Abides, which is a line in the movie. And a lot of people look up abides and are like, my God, what is it? Well, it's noticing, folks. Just
Basically noticing. That's it.
Abide.
Very simple.
I'm going through life. and that's a good way to be. And you practice getting there. So
and of course, Lebowski does it in his way. So, it's up to each of us to kind of, what's your way of abiding? How do you abide?
We're not proposing that you become a pot smoking.
Yeah, we're not going to, right.
Working. Yeah. Wear of jellies. And
grow a beard,
and grow a beard and get bathrobe and sunglasses. No. But you could find your way of being, the art of being. And get back to being, though. No, his message is very important, though. Yeah. Get back to being you. Get back to being. And gee, the world, think if everybody was like the dude. It would be a very peaceful world.
Sure would.
Right. That's the thing to think about, folks. If the majority of the world were like the dude and abided themselves like the dude, well, it would be cool.
Oh yeah. Well, it would definitely be a kinder place.
It would be a very kinder, gentler place with really not much in the way of wars or anything. But you'd have friends and you'd go bowling.
Yeah. Yeah. So the bottom line is, when you're bowling, just bowl. Just bowl.
But he's doing it with his friends, Phil.
And bowl, and who are you bowling with? Other people.
Bowl with your friends.
Right. Go bowl with your friends.
Go bowl with your friends.
And it's not going to solve all your problems, but you're going to be doing something kind and relational.
That's okay. And I mentioned this in, what do I call them now? A retreat that I did yesterday. Yes. Retreat I was doing with folks, and it came up. And I tell this story back. Most people know I'm a clinical psychologist, and so back in the day, people would have finally say, "Would you please just advise me what to do?" And most any of you listening to this would know I don't know what anybody needs to do for a specific thing, because you don't know the context that they're going to go do things in. So, you never know. So, but I did later on, after I became a matrix kind of guy, I'd say, well, here's one thing I can tell you. I'm not sure about what your particular situation, but if you'll think of somebody who's important to you and go do something for them,
there you go.
It'll probably work out.
Yeah.
And they say, well, that has nothing to do with what my problem is. Like, well, I'm not, didn't say it did. Yeah. That wasn't my point. my point was that's something you can do. And everybody comes back and tells me that works. Well, that's what the dude would do, right? He'd go bowling with his friends.
And that's ultimately, that is the thing that he does. He returns back to that, right?
He returns back. That's sort of home base.
Yeah.
So it's not that he's a loner. He's got friends. He's got very good friends, very bosom buddy friends. So there you go, folks. Go bowling with your friends. I'm sure if our podcast ever is a big hit and a lot of people go bowling, we'll be big fans with the bowling industry.
Yeah, right.
People used to do bowling as a social activity.
Oh, absolutely.
Bowling leagues and all that, and then they fell off. But yeah, it's something to do with your friends. Little factoid before we go on. This to go on that, and this is a true fact, or at least a fact from one very long longevity study of some people through a Harvard University study. And they found out that if you measure somebody's cholesterol level at age 50, and you measure their social connections at age 50, and then you'll say, well, which one of those two factors best predicts whether the person will still be alive at age 70? And guess what? It's the social connections.
How about that, right?
So go bowling with your friends is very healthy advice. just to let you know, don't blow it off, folks. Social connections, like our friend the dude from the movie had, that's important. And so, you know what also he did? Remember, he showed up to his landlord's performance. Remember?
Yeah, he was very supportive of his friend.
He was very supportive of him.
Landlord was doing interpretive dancing.
Right. You got to see it, folks.
Yeah.
It's absolutely a showstopper.
Yeah. So in the midst of all this chaos, he still keeps showing up for the important people in his life.
So this guy was important to him, and so he showed up for him. And it was important to the guy that he showed up.
Yeah.
You know? So connections are important. So a little something to get out of the movie. Watch for the connections, and he has some important connections.
Yep.
So
yes, that's two things. Don't take yourself too seriously, right? Number one.
Number one, don't take yourself too seriously.
Stay connected to your friends and your family. Number two.
That's number two, hugely. And
I mean, in terms from the movie.
From the movie, and then the other.
You can flip that around. Actually, you can go either way with that.
And then abide.
And abide,
which is B.
There you go.
Which is notice.
Well, there you go, Kevin. We just summarized it. We got three things there. How about that? That's probably never been done before.
And you know what, folks? I will still go back and watch that movie again.
Oh, yeah.
It's because it really does contain all of this. It all leaked in there from a relatively early Coen Brothers film.
Yep.
And sometimes deep, meaningful things leak into things, and I think it's why they become cult classics.
Yeah.
Because there is a rich, deeper meaning that it's tapping into that maybe you don't think about, maybe you don't talk about so much, but it's there. And Phil and I have just matricized it a bit, and hopefully made it so that you'll go watch the movie, buy the T-shirts,
Yeah.
Get refrigerator magnets, have fun, and remember, don't take yourself too seriously, and above all, find some, look up your friends and do something.
See what they're up to. Take them both.
They what they're up to. Keep your connections going. It's a wonderful thing to do. Just imagine a day that just everybody, maybe more than once a day, goes about looking up a few friends and checking in on them.
Yeah, nice. That'd be a nice day.
I wonder if that would change the world.
Well, we'd certainly be doing more toward moves.
It's an interesting thing to talk about.
Yeah.
So anyway, so the title of this podcast has been what? The Matrix. What are we? The dude does.
Dude meets the Matrix.
The dude meets the Matrix.
How the Matrix ties the room together, which hopefully you know by now.
Does tie it together. So we'll be off to do another podcast and figure out another fun thing. Bye-bye now.
See ya.